video for making lasagna. Brown your either ground turkey. If I use ground turkey, I also use ground turkey sausage, or ground beef, and I also put a little bit of sausage in it. I'll show you that in a minute. With some garlic. Drain your meat and in a strainer so that all the grease gets out of it. Meat in a large saucepan that I use. But of course, if you're using ground beef, I would use a pork sausage just to give a little spice. Now I have put some, what I use is Prego that I get at Sam's, very big containers, in with the meat. And as you can see, I'm making a large pot. I have 5 pounds of ground turkey and 2 pounds of ground sausage. And I'll show you after I get done. This mixture is actually 2 large containers of Prego, and they are 67 ounces a piece. I will probably be adding some regular tomato sauce as well, but I'll let you know. I've added to that pot a large can of 29 ounces of just regular spaghetti sauce, Hunt's sauce. I am probably going to be making another pot smaller than this because this pot isn't quite big enough for what I need to make. Okay, so this pot is full, as you can see, and this pot is full, and that's about how thick it should be. So there's a lot of meat in there and a lot of sauce. And I will go with spices in a moment. Okay, this is the spices I use. Of course, I use regular salt and black pepper. I use the garlic in a jar because in a product like lasagna or spaghetti, you don't really need to peel garlic because there's so many other flavors other than garlic. I like to use basil in the tube. You can use dried basil, no problem. Rosemary, oregano, and that's Italian seasoning. You can use Italian seasoning instead of all of it because it's basically what's in it. I just throw it in there too. But this is the problem on measurements because I wing it. I can tell you I'm going to start with a tablespoon of each of them. Not a tablespoon, well, maybe a tablespoon, maybe a half a tablespoon of black pepper and a tablespoon of salt. And then we'll go from there. But it's really can be a tasting thing versus a how much to measure in there. But let's start with a tablespoon of each and see how. Thyme. I also like to put thyme in there. And if you're questioning whether I put more garlic in other than what I put in with the meat, yes, I do. People like garlic. All right, I'll get that. Now I'm going to cook this, like a half an hour or so, just on, simmer, medium, make sure it's hot. And then I'm going to taste it and see how it goes. So hang on. Okay, in this smaller pot, like that, the 1 tablespoon of each was good enough. In this bigger pot, it is not. I'm going to do another round of 1 tablespoon, except for on the salt and pepper. I'm gonna not do any more on the salt and pepper. Okay, the sauce has been cooking for about an hour, and I'm gonna show you how to put it together. The pan I'm using, because I'm taking it somewhere, is large. It's just a tin that I bought. It is 19 and 9/16 by 11 5/8, and it's deep. It's 3, almost 4 inches deep. And that's what I'm going to start with, and I'll get that going. And I'm making one this big. I also get really big bags of things, which you can get at Sam's or Costco. I have actually 3 of these ricottas, and they are 3 pounds a piece. I have 5 pounds of mozzarella, which I actually have more than that in the fridge, and I have 1.5 pounds of parm. I also put in, which I forgot to tell you, I'm going to put in about a 1/2 cup of parm in the sauce in the little pot and about a cup in the big pot. And just stir that in before I start putting it together. I have my Parmesan cheese somewhere. And the ricotta cheese, this whole 3-pound container, I'm going to put in here. And I'm going to add at least 1 egg to make it more pliable to put in. That's what my ricotta cheese looks like. And it was just 1 egg. As far as noodles go, I have 3 boxes of Meyer's noodles. You can buy what they call no-cook noodles, but I just use regular noodles and I do not cook them and they are fine. Cooking noodles will burn your hands a lot. So this has always worked fine, but if you want the other, then by all means. Only enough sauce to, cover the bottom. You don't want to put noodles on here without sauce or you'll just have burnt noodles. So you're gonna make sure everything stays moist. It's not a ton of sauce, but it does cover the whole. That is the first layer. I'm gonna put sauce on top of this. Again, not a ton, but we wanna keep it moist. So sauce will go on top of this first. Okay, so you can see I have sauce on there. It's not like totally covered all up with sauce, but there's sauce on there. I may put a little more in that corner. The next thing I'm gonna put on is ricotta cheese. I'm gonna, spoon it on and then spread it out with a knife. I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, back to the same thing. My ricotta's ready. And just kind of, you're just spreading it. Mozzarella. Be generous. Now you can make this a couple days before you have to serve it, as long as it's refrigerated, and you can also freeze it as long as you cover it well. You can also bake it and freeze it. Getting cheese on the floor. Okay, now we're on to parm. Now remember, your meat is cooked, but this takes a good hour to cook at 350. And halfway through, like after a half an hour, you're going to want to check it and see if the top's getting too brown. If it is, just lay a piece of foil over it. Don't hook it on, just lay it over. The best foil is a foil that is called non-stick foil. Anyways, and then it needs to sit a good 20 minutes to a half an hour before you cut it. Otherwise, it'll just turn into soup. It needs to firm up a little. And that's it. It's a piece of cake. Bye.